Okay, today I will introduce my symptoms management project. First, I would like to present my data model. The user is the main entity for the system. It contains all common attributes between the doctor and the patient, like the username, password, first name, last name, and there is a category to differentiate between the doctor's and patient's records. So let's start with running the server. Let's make sure that it is not already running. Okay, it is terminated, so let's start the server. As you can see here, we have the medication plan entity, which represents the relation between the doctor and the patient. The doctor should instantiate a medication plan for each of his patients. The medication plan includes medicine doses, and it contains a reference to the disease, which already contains predefined questions for each disease. These questions will be asked during the check-in, while the patient is submitting his check-in, as well as the medicines assigned through the medicine dose. Each will has its own question to be answered with yes or no, and the date time of taking the medicine. Okay, I think the server is up, and I already included some data loader here. It is responsible about loading a random data inside the in-memory database we have. Okay, now the server is up. Let's try to call some services natively. This is a doctor, user, name and password, and basic authentication with the client ID. Let's try to call the server now. We got the access token, which we should use for any data calls. This service is responsible about retrieving the basic information about the user. So user type is doctor, he has authorities doctor and user ID, username and first name and last name. Let's try to get the patients for this doctor. Okay, these are the patients assigned to that doctor through the medication plan entity. Back to the server. Now we can see the queries for retrieving the information. This is for retrieving the patients. Okay. And this is for authenticating the user. Okay. Now we shall start running our application. Okay, now we should provide the username. We will start with the patient's scenario, so we shall provide the username and password for the patient. Let's start with providing an invalid username and password. Going to try to sign in. we get an error, incorrect password. Okay. Now let's try to provide the correct password. Now the patient information is loaded and the medication plan, which includes all required configuration for alarm and notifications, is already loaded and configured with the device. Now let's try to exit. Okay. Just for testing purposes, I configured the daily frequency for the alarm to be 480, which is every 3 minutes we should get an alarm for reminding the patient to check in. So it is completely dynamic to configure the frequency of the reminder. It is based even on the medication plan. Each doctor can set this attribute. Okay. As you can see here, we can define any number of diseases, and this is a disease, one disease, the head and neck cancer, and we can configure as many questions as we need for each disease, and the medicines as well. So the whole data model is completely dynamic. It can be extended just by modifying the configuration data. Okay. Let's start. Now, as you can see here, okay, let me try to do it again. The application didn't ask for any credentials because it is already stored. If the patient wants to log out and clear all the cached information, then what he needs to do is pressing the log out. So let's try first to add a check-in. Now we set the time, and we are ready to submit to the server, and the check-in is already submitted. Let's now check the server. As you can see, we successfully inserted a check-in using the user account. Let's okay, let's now start the okay, now we can, as we can see here, we received a notification for the medical check-in reminder. If we press it, now we have to fill now medical check-in. Okay, now let's reopen the application and view the check-ins. These are the 2 check-ins which we already filled and submitted to the server. The color may be used as an indicator for the status of the pain. Now let's log out and start the doctor scenario. We'll get the doctor credentials. As you can see, it is the same interface. There is no special button for doctor and special button for patient. On the other hand, the server will be responsible about retrieving based on the credentials we send. The server will be responsible about retrieving the authorities assigned to that user. Okay. As you can see here, the main interface is different based on the user authorities. Now I can view my patients. If I search for all, I will get all the list. If I'm searching only with A, okay, let's get back and try to search again. I will get all. I will search for both user first name and last name. If we are searching for T, we get only one. Let's retrieve the whole list again. W. Okay. Ahmad Ali is the user the patient which we used to submit some check-ins. So let's choose this one. Now I can see the graph for the patient pain indicator. I can also view the list of check-ins for this patient. Unfortunately, the medication plan modification is not completely developed yet.